Welcome to the Master Builder Show. I'm your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. I am a graduate master builder certified by the National Association of Home Builders, a member of the Green Building Council, and a member of the North Texas Green Building Council. Our topic today is going to be architects and architecture. My guest today is, they're Anton Jacobs, and he is, I was about to forget you, Anton Jacobs with Architects Incorporated, and Jean Gibson, Vice President of Gibson Home Builders. And like I said, we're going to be talking about architecture. And Anton, how are you this morning?
Just fine, just fine.
Well, we're going to talk about architecture, and I know you always have something to say before we start our topic. Anything you want to bring up this morning?
Well, we've been talking out in the lobby for so long, I've forgotten all my questions. But can we start with a basic?
Basic what?
About architects. What's an architect, and what's your educational background, and why should anybody even hire an architect?
Well, I'm a Fort Worth kid, went to UTA, graduated from UTA in 81, and started interning at that point. And when did I get my...
What?
Anyways, so you just work your way up, and when you graduate from school, you learn design. You don't know how buildings go together, that kind of thing. And so the architectural firms actually teach the architects how buildings go together, and that's how you get your knowledge. And then you take your test, and you pass your test, and then you become a registered architect.
Yeah, the thing, the actual term architecture comes from Greek term, and it's arkhi, which means chief, and then I guess it's tekton, that means builder. So you're a chief builder, is the actual term. So you actually go in and you take a conception or a design that a customer brings to you, and you put it in a buildable format. And what you're trying to do as an architect is make it go together where it will work and it won't fall down. Is that pretty well?
Yeah, that, and you're combining all the other disciplines. You know, your structure, your mechanical things. You bring all that together, and you're responsible for making it all work into one building.
So you have to know every system, or have resources for every system,
or have resources and
you
weed
stay
out
current.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the key to being current.
Right.
Are architects divided into types and groups?
Sure, everybody specializes. Yeah,
But the training isn't specific, that somebody's going to build Gothic homes, somebody's going to build colonials. It's not that way.
No, I specialize in custom homes. I started out in production homes, graduated up in doing more custom homes. Mm-hmm. And then the commercial, I've worked my way up into doing light commercial work. I call it franchise architecture, where I've done Jiffy Lubes in 12 states, 60 Jiffy Lubes in 8 years across 12 states. So, I've worked, so I'm kind of specialized in that field, in the auto service also. Oh. But custom homes are, I like doing custom homes because you meet with the people. Every home's unique. Especially when you get into green and where you're trying to orient the house to get the right sun angles. Teaching, you have to teach your people. With HDTV and all that, you're really bringing on where your consumer is more educated now.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so that you don't have to educate them near as much as you used to.
Well, most of them come in now, and especially on a custom home, they're not just jumping out there buying a house because they're not looking for square footage versus price primarily. They are actually looking for certain items in the house and a certain feel of the house and a certain function of the house. So when they're going in there and they're not a first-time buyer, they're wanting a custom home built to fit all their needs. They're looking at height of cabinets. If they're a computer geek, they're wanting certain things in there as far as structured wiring.
But the kicker is green. We've been talking about, we're in the planning process, and we've pretty well settled on doing an earth-covered house.
Earth-sheltered.
I know, I keep saying that wrong. A dirt house. Because there are so many things going on.
So many benefits to it.
Well, there's the negative side of the environment is that it's 107 on Saturday when we walked around the Peach Festival. It's brutal. And the electric bills are just escalating. The price of electricity is escalating. Everything is impacting the cost of our homes. So we want our homes to be earth-friendly and efficient. So that's the one green type of building, other than the conventional, build a conventional house and insulate it completely.
Let's start from the beginning. Really, when somebody comes to you, Anton, what they're going to do, what you wish they would do, is bring a dream scrapbook.
Right, and I talk about that where you start by you tear out magazine pictures. So if you want your kitchen to look that way, tear it out, and you draw circles and arrows on it, because once a few months later, you might not realize why you tore that picture out.
Right.
And then, the looks and how the feel of the house. And if you want rooms, the relationships to the rooms, that's important also. If you want a rabbit, where you got a bunch of chopped up little rooms, or you want one big living space, that's. And
if we each want one of the other,
right,
then you've got to mediate.
Right. But when you get into an earth shelter house, there's less maintenance, because you have to mow the yard upstairs, on your roof, and
but you don't ever have to paint it.
Right? No. Well, you have to paint what's exposed.
Well, true.
But now the other thing with the earth shelter is that ground, below ground, it stays a constant temperature, or
Correct.
real close. So you're going to basically heat.
Okay. It looks like we're going to take a break. We'll be back here in just a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties with a selection of interior and exterior lighting fixtures. They also have ceiling fans, mirrors, and vanities in all sizes. A lighting consultant will help you with your decisions. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
North Texas Basements, 817-770-2768. With over 30 years of experience in residential construction, add extra living area, storm protection, and extra room that will be easy to heat and cool without needing a large piece of ground to build on. Think about having a basement in your next home. North Texas Basements, 817-770-BSMT or 817-770-2768.
Croft Foam Insulation and Protective Coatings has over 25 years of experience in the spray foam business, serving residential, commercial, and industrial clients. Croft Foam specializes in open and closed cell polyurethane foam applications to construction, refrigerated trailers, and even castles. Croft Foam is a Fort Worth-based company. You may reach them by calling 817-482-1664 or email at foamman@swbell.net. Are you having a construction-related issue? Do you need a construction attorney? If so, you may call the law firm of Kelly M. Davis and Associates. Kelly's family background in the construction industry has led to her focus in construction litigation, with over 9 years of experience practicing construction law in and around the metro area. For more information, you may visit www.kmdalegal.com, or you may call 972-434-8009. That's 972-434-8009. 8009. Kelly M. Davis and Associates. Principal offices are located in Lewisville, Texas.
Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guests today are Anton Jacobs, and he's with Architects Incorporated, and Jean Gibson, my wife, Vice President of Gibson Home Builders, and we're talking about architectural, design and what actually an architect does. And we were talking before the break, we were talking about what people need to do or bring to you to start, actually. I mean, you really need to know what they were looking for, what they want.
Yeah, you can't. Pictures are worth 1,000 words,
right?
And you can describe it in paragraphs and everything. Architects are visual people. I mean, so
it makes it a whole lot easier.
It makes it a whole lot easier, right? And you have to have a program as far as you want 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 4. How many car garage you need, and because then you also have to have a budget in mind, because you can pick the square footage, your dollars,
right,
or the design. So it's you get to pick 2.
Well, that's one of my pet peeves is people come out and say, "Well, how much does it cost per square foot to build a house?" And I'll tell them, "Well, I don't know. How much does the car cost per pound?"
Per pound, exactly.
You want to buy a Ferrari, or do you want to buy a Hyundai?
Right.
And nothing wrong with the Hyundai. It's just how much the car cost, and per pound, there's quite a bit of difference there. And I can build 3 houses in a row, identical footprints, and have each one cost $50,000 to $100,000 more than the next one beside it. And it's easy to do.
I've got builders that can build for $100 a foot all day long, and then I've got guys that can't build a house for under $250 a foot.
Right. But
now the goodies, there's a lot of goodies. Now that $50 square foot house, you want air conditioning,
Yeah, you want plumbing.
Oh my God! I've always wondered how they can manage to do a 3,000 square foot house, put up the sign that says
$180,000
or $100,000. Just these great big rambling houses.
Well, a lot of these people that they're building these houses, they're production builders, so they're buying train car loads of bathtubs and toilets and fixtures, and they're not always buying the best product, but they buy them in such large amounts. Plus, they put the same one in every house. So your custom design on this house is what color paint do you want? Pretty well.
And those framers, they can build that thing in their sleep. Because it's just one right after another.
Yeah, it's the same. And so they know exactly how much material. I mean, they built probably 1,000 of the same design. So they know down to the nail what it takes to build that house. Mm-hmm. Whereas on a custom, it's the first time this house has ever been built.
It's uniquely yours.
And normally you don't sit down and figure how many nails you need. I mean, you figured up pretty close. Mm-hmm.
In a production house, your overhang is about 8 inches, just enough to get that attic vent in there. Right. Okay. Well, if you look at houses that were built in the 50s and 60s, they all had 2-foot overhangs.
Right. And there was a reason.
And there's a reason for that. And the reason is the sun shades. That overhang shades that wall and keeps your utility costs down. So when I call it accounting architecture, because the accountants have because hey, face it, it's a third less material,
right?
So
costs less,
right?
I mean, when you're going out there and putting 24-inch soffits on them, your material costs are tripled,
Labor's
or
about
quadrupled.
The same.
Labor is not the cost on that; it's actually material,
right?
And so you're going out 4 times because they put about an 8-inch overhang on them. And
that's something that we really, Jim worked it up so that our house in Granbury had, we had the sun flowing in the winter and full shade in the summer. So he figured out the overhang, and it was more than 24 inches. It was pretty substantial.
Well, that was on our back porch, and that was our enclosed, that was our screened-in porch that was back there.
In those same houses, they build them facing north, facing east, facing west.
Yeah.
And you get these 2-story great rooms with glass facing west. I mean, it's just like an oven. It's like an oven. You're not going to ever cool that.
They're great photographs.
Oh, yeah, with 8-inch overhang, it's really going to shade a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people, when they're out, and if they haven't bought their lot yet, or they've got quite a bit of land and haven't picked a spot to build, positioning is really critical, and unless you don't want to live to the front or the back or whichever it faces.
That's our dilemma for building our new house.
Yeah, our property faces east, and our back is to the west, but we're on 4.5 acres.
So you can.
I can move it around, and we're thinking about just making it face north.
Drainage is another thing. I mean, people, don't buy houses at the bottom of the hill. You're going to have problems. especially, with more building around you and everything else.
Right.
That
It
field,
drinks all the water.
it was there now as houses and driveways and streets, and so all that water's going to run down to you.
Yeah, and I found people that have bought lots like that, and they got a great deal on this lot.
Oh, yeah.
And they're infill lots. An infill lot is one that hasn't been built on yet. It's in an older neighborhood, and it's down in a hole or whatever. And they said, well, that's no problem. We can raise the land and divert the water around. Well, what ends up happening is they divert the water on other people's property. So the problem is that the people that were living on both sides of you or around you had a perfectly good yard and perfect drainage and all this other stuff. And you come in, put a pile of dirt in there, and you force all the water over in their property. You're liable for lawsuits. I mean, it's not just that you're putting water over there. You're actually liable for changing the way the water flows through
And
their
that
area.
house is now on fill, so you have to have piers.
Right.
So that great deal on the lot just costs you another 30% in foundation costs.
Is that something an architect would advise on, though?
I would love to have a client come to me and say, hey, I've got 3 lots. Which one do you think's the best one?
And they don't.
No.
They pick the one that's pretty.
Yeah,
or a better
the
deal.
best deal, and then they come to me and this is a great lot, and it's like, it's a 45-degree angle. You can't,
Okay, we've got to take another break. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving the building professional in Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties. Services include planned takeoff, site walkthrough, and delivery. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. Again, it's 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
North Texas Basements, 817-770-2768. With over 30 years of experience in residential construction, add extra living area, storm protection, and extra room that will be easy to heat and cool without needing a large piece of ground to build on. Think about having a basement in your next home. North Texas Basements, 817-770-BSMT or 817-770-2768.
Croft Foam Insulation and Protective Coatings has over 25 years of experience in the spray foam business, serving residential, commercial, and industrial clients. Croft Foam specializes in open and closed cell polyurethane foam applications to construction, refrigerated trailers, and even castles. Croft Foam is a Fort Worth-based company. You may reach them by calling 817-482-1664 or email at foamman@swbell.net.
Are you looking for a law firm with an understanding of the construction industry? Kelly M. Davis & Associates experience includes home inspections, construction contracts, disputes with builders, and helping subcontractors or vendors that have not been paid for their services. For more information, you may visit www.kmdalegal.com or you may call 972-434-8009. That's 972-434-8009.
Kelly M. Davis & Associates. Principal offices are located in Lewisville, Texas.
Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guests today are Anton Jacobs, and he's with Architects Incorporated, and my wife, Jean Gibson, which is with Gibson Home Builders. And we're talking about different types of architectural structures today, and we've kind of covered part of the design stuff, and we were talking about buying an infill lot. And I was saying over the break that the reason you get those lots so cheap is most people want to build a conventional house. And if they actually change the direction of the water flow, and if there's houses on both sides, you're liable for pushing all the water over into other people's property. But there's an alternative that you can do, and what you can do, you can actually build into that. So actually do some excavation instead of building a mound, and then divert the water around your building using gravel and drain planes away from it, and force it out to the front of your own property.
We had looked at those kind of, vertical lots when we were looking to buy land over in Cedar Hill.
Yeah, and
Beautiful sections there, rocky and vertical.
Yeah, and before we, started doing the basements and doing thinking about underground houses, those were just bad lots. But really, now I'm looking at them as not such bad lot at all.
Right. You're not going to have. It's not going to be a typical looking home, though. I mean,
right.
You have to realize that people are very. They really want the same look. Down the street. People don't want to be different, especially with their investment.
Right. Well, what I've looked at here lately, there's several. We had a show on earth sheltered homes here last week, and you can build an earth sheltered home and put any kind of fascia you want on it, so you can make it look anything. It's kind of like a Hollywood set. If you're looking at the front of it, you can make it look like anything you want. And you can do it either in 3-dimensional or 2-dimensional and paint it to where it appears to be 3-dimensional. And so, looks anymore, more people are going green and thinking about their utility bills. And really, an earth-sheltered home, it's probably one of the most energy-efficient homes that you could live in.
Oh,
if
yeah.
It's done right.
Yeah.
And, there are some inherent problems with them. I mean, as far as you've got to pay attention during the construction process, and you've got to design them for ventilation, waterproofing. Right. That's your big thing, right?
And collapse from weight. That was the one that kind of bothered me.
Well, when they're covering it up, they're driving the dozers on top of it. So if it doesn't crash after you construct it, it's probably not going to crash for a while.
No.
And even in an earthquake zone, unless you build over a direct fault, it'll just move with the earth.
And that people say, "Oh, we got plastic soils here; they move around." Well, they have that everywhere, and they put basements in the north, and they still have plastic soils. You just have to condition that soil and make sure it's right before you start construction. That's all.
Yeah, we were talking about putting overhangs on the buildings, and that's one of the things I push too. Is we'd like to get a standard overhang at about 16 inches. But if you can, and the thing they've got now here is the roof pitches are going so steep. They're going 12 pitches, 12-14 pitches, or 14-12 pitches, and I said it backwards there, but a little dyslexic. But unless you kick it out at the bottom, you're not going to get that overhang.
That's what I did on my house. I have 12 and 12 pitches because I want to look like everybody else's house in the neighborhood. And so on the south side, I kicked it out at a 6 and 12 to get my 12-inch overhang on that south side. Plus, I put a big porch on there.
So you've got it swoops.
Yeah.
It's a ranch style.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you put all the gables and all that on the north side so you don't get any direct sunlight in there. And so, the guy that behind me, his electric bill is outrageous because all his gables face the south.
Right.
There's no shade on them.
Yes. Yeah, and all your heat building right up on there.
Right.
We try to normally face, even in my development I put in out here, we've sold all our lots now, but all the houses face north. And because most everybody lives to the back now, so we're putting everything to the back, and you can build all the houses passive solar.
Right.
So the sun shines in the winter, it doesn't shine in the summer. And what other things are people looking for today as far as design? Is there any particular thing as far as each house you're designing now that more people are looking for on an average rather than? I think what we're looking, most of my buildings and stuff that our residential housing we're doing a lot of great rooms, and so we're opening up our spaces. No halls are very few hall space.
Right. Well, with an open plan, I'm going to call it an open plan, where all the rooms kind of flow together and all that,
right.
and then you have windows on those other walls, and so what happens is you don't have any room for pictures.
I know that we built one. We built several that for specs, and that's the main concern of,
That's
of
my
a lot
main
of
complaint.
people. Was and I said, well, just put up dividers, and I mean,
Yeah, roll them around.
roll around that way. Well, that's what she did. I mean, she had these room dividers that we would kind of section them off, and we had 10-foot ceilings in this. So these dividers ran up, and they were about 7 or 8 feet.
They were screens
They
with plants in front of them to create individual spaces. We had 1,000 square foot of living space with the living room, dining room, kitchen area.
That was the great room was 1,000.
And the other problem is with that open plan, it's hard to get overhead cabinets in the kitchen.
What we did, we suspended them.
Right.
And we had a bar area that came out from a pantry. Mm-hmm. And I just suspended cabinets on out over the bar area. And
that was my idea. It made him very nervous. It made the cabinet people nervous.
My bracing on that thing, because I used
start swinging.
Well, no, I cross braced it, but I did it with ornamental iron.
Oh, they look pretty.
It turned out real well, and it made it real open. And she put you could put all sorts of things up on top of those cabinets, because these were 42-inch cabinets. We had a 10-foot ceiling. And so we had probably 2-3 foot above them.
It does break the room up. I mean,
right.
it's a visual break on top of that. So
a visual break, plus it also keeps the echo effect down. The more things that you suspend and hang around a room, you don't have all the echo.
And you have hard surface floors.
Well, we had tile floors.
Yeah. So you get a echo and going in there.
So if the trend in the custom home, I think the production buyer is not going to look at green, but the custom buyer is coming to us now and saying, I want a green home. How do you address that?
Well, you have to, I go for the low fruit first. You can get about 80% of that green with the low fruit items.
Right.
When you start doing the water recapture and gray water and that stuff, you're starting to get into some money. Insulating the foundation. I mean,
here we don't need it.
Well, but it's still there. If you're trying to get to that zero energy home,
right.
You're going to want to try to do all that stuff. Now, what happens is people, we want all that.
Right.
We want this. And
then you tell them how much it costs.
That foam. Yeah, we want to have that foam. And, then you talk about systems. You have to have an ERV.
What's ERV?
It's an air exchanger, basically.
It's energy recovery ventilation.
Right. What it does is it brings fresh air from outside, and it treats it with the exhausted air that's coming through, so you're not losing any energy. It's about 85% efficient or something like that. And so all that fresh air you bring in is treated with the air you're exhausting. Now on a foam home or a real tight home, you've got to have that. And so mine runs all the time, and you don't hear it. It's constantly bringing in that fresh air. And
what's your electric bill, and how many square feet?
I have 2,600 on the first floor. I've got an 800-foot game room upstairs. I've got 3 units. My last month bill was $92.
And he's got a split system. Now a split system is this is not the
Say it louder. One more time.
Now that's my second.
$92?
That's my second bill. I'm going to be honest with you. The first bill was $450, but that's when all the doors were open and the contractors were still going in and out.
Oh, this is a brand new house.
Brand new home, yeah. And so now I'm really. I'd like to see what that third bill is, because I think
probably going to
it's going to be between $200 and $300, I'd imagine.
You total electric.
I have a gas, hot water heater, gas cooktop, gas logs.
Well,
you got a swimming pool?
No. My wife wants one though.
Well,
it's
really,
just cubic dollars.
You're probably going to be less than the $200 mark. I would say you're probably going to be with that split system the way it operates. And when I'm saying a split system, these systems work, and they have several different air handlers, and you put the air handlers in the areas that you want. And you may have one condensing unit which mounts on the outside, and so you have, instead of running ducts through the attic, which in normal construction, unless you're doing conditioned space in your attic, heat up, you don't have any ducts in the attic. All you've got is your refrigerant lines running back and forth to these air handlers in these different areas. So you don't take up any space. The air's not preheated in your attic.
Right. Well, the attic's about 80 degrees.
Right.
So, but now you have a few ducts because you have the unit here and you have to go to room to room to room. But yeah, the ductwork's cut down a lot. But
minimal.
Right, but if you're in a conventionally built house with that ventilated attic, that attic's 140 degrees?
Oh yeah, 140, 150 degrees.
And that's where your air handler is.
Right.
And that ductwork is R5 around that ductwork.
Well,
it used to be.
Well, right now the law was R6. Now it's R8 if you're using SEER 13. Now what they've done though, which I thought was rather stupid, and don't mind me saying that, but they got trade-offs. You don't have to use the R8 duct if you increase the SEER rating. Well, duh. I mean, you got the same 150 degree attic, and why not spend a little extra money to put a better insulated duct up in your attic if you're not going to have a conditioned attic.
And so when that air conditioner turns on, that first minute and a half, you're pumping all that hot air out.
It's kind of like leaving your water hose out in the sun and turning on the water, and then put your hand in front of it. It's boiling. Well, you've got air setting in those ducts before your air conditioner comes on that you're going to pump hot air into your room. And then it has to cool that down. So it's kind of a not a win-win situation.
No. And I just felt that, this conditioned attic I think that's the way. I think you're going to see more and more of it.
You are. And the problem is it's expense.
Yeah.
Because like on a 12-12 pitch roof, I was talking to one of my sponsors, which is Croft Foam, and he was saying that when they're doing like a 12-12 pitch roof, what you do to figure square footage of that pitch is figure your square footage of your conditioned space. Say it's going to be at 2,000 feet. You multiply that by 1.6, and that comes out to whatever square footage you're going to need coverage, and then you're going to have to tell him how thick you want it blown on. And, most of these places are blown on 6-8 inches or so of open cell foam.
Right. If you have a very closed house with the foam, better windows, doors, higher SEER air conditioner, it might cost you 10% more on your house.
Right.
Okay. But the return is so say it's $30,000.
Right.
Okay, that's the increase.
Uh-huh.
Well, you amortize that out over 30 years. Okay. How much is that a month? It's what, $30, less than $30?
Right.
But if you're saving $200, $300 on your electric bill.
Let me tell you about a story. I built a house in Burleson, and this was a $500,000 house. It was a big house. But anyway, what we did, we foamed it. We put in 19 SEER units. It had one unit, 4,000 square foot, air conditioned, heated. We air conditioned the garage and heated the garage. Of course, the thermostat was inside the house, and it cost them. And she had a girlfriend that they were building her house at the same time, and they were wondering why their house costs more than her girlfriend's house.
Yeah. And
I said, well, we're doing all these energy efficient upgrades, and yeah, it's costing more, but you'll appreciate this in the long run. And anyway, it was either last summer or the summer before, she called me and thanked me for their $30,000 more, or $40,000 or whatever they spent. It was more than her girlfriend. Well, their highest bill on 4,000 square foot house with a pool was $250.
Exactly.
Her girlfriend's bill was $1,250. And so they were saving, in the summer, they were saving $1,000 a month. And she said, well, at this rate, we'll have all this extras paid for in the next 3 years. And she said, my girlfriend, there's nothing she can do.
Right. And that's in the electric bills are just going to keep going up. The rate is just going to keep going. Now, back when I did a house, it was probably 12 years ago now. And it was a ranch house, but they wanted it to look like a two-story house.
Right.
Okay, so we had 16-foot ceilings, and it cascaded down to 12 and then 9. But it was 2 inches of foam on the outside of the studs of 6-inch studs.
Okay.
Okay. And we had EIFS.
Okay.
And so
EIFS is externally insulated
stucco.
Yeah. Well, now it's different than regular stucco,
it's synthetic
but
stucco. Yeah. So these people go to sell their house. Well, nobody wants a stucco house, okay, because it's not brick. Well, these people from California came in. They looked at the house and they bought it immediately.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, at the time, we had 8 SEER was the highest we could get on that house, right? But I mean, we had all of the sound system with the touch tone stuff in this house. This house is all tricked out,
right?
Okay, it has R40 insulation, and because we had energy heels on this house,
right?
And so the guys from California came. They knew what they had because it had wood windows,
right?
It was situated right. I mean, everything's correct about this house. So they put in 20 SEER air conditioners. That's the only thing they did. Their bills are $150 a month.
Right.
And we just called it good design back then. You know, it wasn't green. We didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I always tell my customers,
green now. It's so overdone.
You can
it
lock
means
in
a lot. Green means so much now.
Well, you can lock in your monthly payments on your mortgage, but you can't lock in your electric bills.
Exactly.
Unless, I mean, you can get pretty close to locking them in if you're doing your systems right. I mean, you're going to have certain increases, but you're going to use minimal heating and cooling.
Well, that's the kicker. That's the real big one.
That is the biggest thing we spend our money on. And
insurance is another thing.
Right.
If you have a detached garage, you're going to get a better rate on your insurance because your garage is not attached to the house, fire or what have you. Metal roofs, you can put a metal roof on your house, and it's going to have, your microphone. Talk in. Excuse me. Metal roofs, you're hail resistant. It's going to reflect the heat. Now it costs 3 times as much as an asphalt.
Or more now.
Or more, yeah. Or with the metal going up, right?
5 times as much. Try 5 times.
5 times?
Yeah, about 5 times.
It's got
or more.
But now taxes, you're just stuck with taxes, I think.
Right.
Death end, isn't that the combination?
Yeah, right. So if you can control your electric bill, your water, and conserve on that end of it, and put that money into your house, make your house a real investment.
Right. Make it where it's not
it's
a
making you
burden.
money. It's making you money. You're making money off of other people's money, especially if you're borrowing.
Right.
If you're borrowing that money from a bank, you're actually making money off of them. And
Explain.
Well, because you're making, the rich people, they make money off other people's money.
Right.
Okay? So these people that were building these houses, these $800,000, $1 million houses 12 years ago, they were rich.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
But they believed in insulation. They have ground source heat pumps way back then.
Right.
And their bills, on a 5,000-foot house is
We're less than some of these people.
Yeah, it's less than an 800-foot apartment.
Yeah.
Because, the guy that builds the apartment and owns the apartment, they don't care about that that energy bill every month, and they just, they tack it right on to the renters.
Right. We got to take another break here. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties with a selection of interior and exterior lighting fixtures. They also have ceiling fans, mirrors, and vanities in all sizes. A lighting consultant will help you with your decisions. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
North Texas Basements, 817-770-2768. With over 30 years of experience in residential construction, add extra living area, storm protection, and extra room that will be easy to heat and cool without needing a large piece of ground to build on. Think about having a basement in your next home. North Texas Basements, 817-770-BSMT or 817-770-2768.
Croft Foam Insulation and Protective Coatings has over 25 years of experience in the spray foam business, serving residential, commercial, and industrial clients. Croft Foam specializes in open and closed cell polyurethane foam applications to construction, refrigerated trailers, and even castles. Croft Foam is a Fort Worth-based company. You may reach them by calling 817-482-1664 or email at foamman, at swbell.net.
Are you looking for a law firm with an understanding of the construction industry? Kelly M. Davis and Associates experience includes home inspections, construction contracts, disputes with builders, and helping subcontractors or vendors that have not been paid for their services. For more information, you may visit www.kmdalegal.com or you may call 972-434-8009. That's 972-434-8009.
Kelly M. Davis and Associates. Principal offices are located in Louisville, Texas.
Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guests today are Anton Jacobs with Arkhitekton Incorporated, and Jean Gibson, my wife, with Gibson Home Builders Incorporated. And we're talking about different types of architectural designs and green building. And we tell our customers, it's pretty expensive to, like this zero energy house they built over in Dallas there. That came out to about $900 a square foot. And then
I'll take a foot.
Yeah, and so there's shades of green that you have to do, and that's what we preach is let's go as green as you can afford. And when you build in shades of green, the first things we're looking at is how do we save energy, or how do we save on our bills, our maintenance and our utility bills, and our biggest concern now is our electric bill.
Right.
And so,
okay, on a house, 35% of the energy loss is through the roof.
Correct.
25% is lost through the walls. 25% is lost through the windows, doors. 15% is lost through the foundation.
Okay.
Just throw away the foundation because we're not in an area that we really need that kind of stuff.
Right.
So first thing you do is you make sure that you have proper insulation above your attic, in your attic. Go with a radiant barrier if at all possible.
Right.
What that does is it's like holding an umbrella over your house.
Correct.
Is what it's because it shades your house and it reflects that heat out off.
Reflecting the radiation.
That's what you
back.
said you did your brother's house.
Right. My brother, he owns a house. It was built in '62.
In Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, 4-bedroom, 2-bath ranch, 8-foot ceilings, and his electric bills were $650 a month. Now that's back with 13 cents a kilowatt hour. And so he's complaining about his bills. And so I go, well, let's look at your insulation.
Right.
And you could see
the joist.
The ceiling joist, the 2x4 ceiling, you could see those. And plus the air conditioner outside, I believe it was original. It was just a rusted hunk of metal, know. And so we put in a 14-SEER unit and blew in the insulation, got the radiant barrier, his last month bill, and it was under $300 a month.
Yeah, and that was just probably with minimal investment.
Right. It was about $8,000 is what he spent. And so, he's got a savings of over $2,000 a year.
So in 4 years, he pays back all that, and then it's all in the bank.
Right. It's in the bank. But you look at it this way. If he had that $8,000 in the bank, what does he get, 2% interest, 3% interest?
Yeah,
if you're lucky?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, he was getting 25% interest on that.
On his investment,
on his investment, on his house.
Right.
And people need to stop thinking about money in the bank. You got to think about money in your house, and you have to pay those bills every month. Right. If you can get those bills reduced, then that's money that you're not paying and you're saving.
And you can put it in the bank.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
You said you recalculated, though, at a higher rate per kilowatt hour what his bill would be.